There is a moment most people never notice. It happens the instant someone questions you, and without thinking, you feel the urge to explain yourself. Words rush to the surface. Explanations form before you choose them, and in that exact second, something subtle shifts. Your authority begins to slip away. Without realizing it, you've stepped into a courtroom that was never real. You're no longer standing as yourself. You're standing as the one being judged. This reflex didn't come from nowhere. It was trained into you early, long before status, careers, or reputation, when authority decided guilt and explanation meant safety. When you were accused, explanation was the only escape. If you could justify yourself well enough, punishment softened. So your mind learned something dangerous: speak quickly or suffer. You grew up, but the reflex stayed. Now every boss, partner, or stranger becomes a judge. And without noticing, you explain, not to clarify, but to feel safe. This is where ancient Greek wisdom diverges from instinct. Socrates understood that most accusations are not about truth, they are about authority, and he refused to grant it. He didn't rush to prove innocence. He didn't argue to be understood. Instead, he questioned the right to judge and exposed how fragile false authority really is. The lesson wasn't silence, it was sovereignty. When you refuse false judgment, accusations lose their weight because they no longer know where to land. But Greek wisdom did not stop at calm resistance. There was another path, far more unsettling, a man who refused not just judgment, but society's rules entirely. When mocked, he didn't defend. When insulted, he didn't correct. He treated attacks like noise, because only attachment gives an insult weight. By refusing to be offended, he made offense meaningless. Judgment needs participation to survive. When no one plays along, power collapses into absurdity. Silence, to the Greeks, was never weakness. It was self-possession, the ability to remain unmoved, even when provoked, misunderstood, or judged. When you remain silent, something strange happens. The tension doesn't disappear, it transfers. Those who expected reaction are forced to sit with themselves. Silence isn't something you use, it's something you become, a refusal to leak energy, to prove, to perform, to be pulled off center. The Greeks were not mute, they spoke, but never to defend identity, only to address what was real, and then they stopped. The wise separated action from identity. They could admit a mistake without accepting a label. Facts were addressed calmly. Insults were left untouched. Then they stopped speaking. No justification, no emotional cleanup, truth delivered and released without attachment. If an accusation wounds you, it's not because it's loud. It's because it touches something already tender. The Greeks understood this deeply. That same wound follows you everywhere, into meetings, into conversations that feel ordinary, until one sentence hits harder than it should. You carry it into the world, through streets, crowds, passing faces, and in the quiet after everything moves on, you realize the pain was never about them. The shift begins when you stop managing perception, when you no longer chase understanding, and instead, you stand, rooted in what you know to be true. Something changes when you move this way. People feel it before they understand it. Not intimidation, clarity, and clarity rearranges the room. You're no longer reacting. You're no longer bracing. There's nothing to prove, only something to maintain. So here's the challenge, not a technique, a shift in how you move. For a few days, stop explaining yourself. When you're late, don't justify. When you're misunderstood, don't rush to clarify. Let the discomfort rise, and stay with it. Watch what happens next. Confusion comes first, then space, and slowly, respect, because certainty is felt before it's understood. This isn't about winning arguments. It's about reclaiming your energy. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving parts of your life away. Ancient wisdom reminds us who we are when we finally stand still. Subscribe to Timeless Mind by Nicolaus.